Good morning. This morning, I thought I'd do something a little different than my usual in the garden video. And that is because I've actually spent the majority of this week in the house, trying to preserve as much of the harvest as possible before the frost comes. And I suspect that many of you who are gardening are preserving a lot of your own food as well. So today, I thought I'd share with you my top 3 tools for preserving the harvest. I'm gonna finish picking these beans for canning and then let's head into the house. So my top 3 preservation tools in no particular order are, first, my dehydrator. Now the dehydrator and the tool I'm gonna show you next are of perhaps particular importance right now, given that many folks are having trouble finding canning supplies. And these 2 methods can be used to preserve food without having to can anything. So there are many dehydrators on the market, from relatively quite cheap to quite expensive. I splurged years ago and got the Excalibur dehydrator. Some girls go for purses, I go for dehydrators, whatever floats your boat. But this has been well worth the money. So I've got the 9-rack Excalibur dehydrator, and it's got these mesh tray covers, as well as I bought these, I think they're silicone. They do get stained with wear, but these work really well, especially for, like I said, fruit leathers for the kids. And you can dehydrate pretty much anything. I typically use this for herbs. I dry tomatoes, onions, zucchini, carrots, pretty much any fruit and vegetable. You can do meat jerkies. Now, how I will store my dehydrated food typically is just in these glass mason jars. I usually try to find like the desiccant packets that are in supplements or some other dried foods and save those and pop one in the jar with the food. You can see here I've got dried onions, and then here I've got a batch of dried tomatoes. I'd love to be able to do sun-dried tomatoes, but in our climate, it just would not work. So I have to rely on the dehydrator. And here's another example. I'm in the process of dehydrating a bunch of zucchini. When this gets full, I'll pack it into glass jars as well. Preservation tool number 2 is my vacuum sealer. So this was actually gifted to me, and I'm very thankful for that, because I kind of had hem-hawed around about buying one of these. I just wasn't sure if I was going to end up using it very much. And this has become definitely one of my go-to tools for preserving foods. Now, I use this to vacuum seal many fruits and vegetables and then throw them in the freezer. And it's kind of if I don't have time to get things done, this is what I go to because it's very fast. A word of warning, however, do not try to do really juicy fruits and vegetables in this, because the vacuum sealer will want to suck up all the juice and it doesn't work well. So what I do for berries is actually lay them on a cookie sheet, freeze them first, and then vacuum seal them, which works really well. And I use this thing for blanched green beans, cauliflower, peas, broccoli, edamame, pretty much you name it. Right now I'm doing peppers because we're just getting an onslaught of peppers ripening in the garden. So this is one of my very favorite quick and easy ways to preserve peppers. So the way this works is you get these vacuum seal rolls. I think you can get the pre-made bags too, but this is a little more economical. And they will come in rolls like this. You can get a wider size as well. And this allows you to just cut the size that you'll need for the amount that you're vacuum sealing. You just cut it as straight as you can. You lay this edge on the sealing strip, shut it, hold it down till the green light goes off, and it creates a seal on this end. So now you've got a baggie that you can fill. So with peppers, all I do is chop them up kind of at a dice or whatever size you typically would use them. I've heard of people doing strips like for fajitas, but it's whatever is easiest for you. You then just fill up your baggie. And you want to leave a little room at the top because you're going to need that space to do the vacuum sealing. Then you just put that inside the vacuum sealer, press that down. And voila, It's sucked all the air out. It's given you a nice seal, and that stuff will keep in the freezer much longer without freezer burn than if you just throw it, say, in like a Ziploc baggie. Preservation tool number 3 is a canner. Now, this is not just any canner. This is a life-changing canner. So I have my traditional big water bath canner that I use all the time. This has replaced my pressure canner. So for years I had one of those great big cast aluminum heavy duty pressure canners. To be honest, the thing intimidated the heck out of me. So my dear sister happened to mention this contraption to me, and I immediately searched one out. The beauty of this is that it's almost foolproof, and it doesn't require the constant diligence that a traditional steam canner does, where you're constantly checking the pressure and the temperature and making sure everything is all right. This, you basically put your items in, you start it, it will beep at you when it has reached pressure, at which point you close the pressure gauge. It will do the pressure canning and beep again when it's done. And that's basically it. And I have had really good success with this. I've been able to do all those items that I was freezing in the past, which is like my non-acid foods, corn, green beans. I can pressure can leftover soups. It is smaller than a traditional pressure canner, so you can only do 4 quarts at a time. That actually works really well for me because I'm able to slip in a batch of canning here and there rather than devoting like a whole afternoon to doing canning. And overall, I have used this thing a ton this season already. Now, if you find yourself in the market for one of these, as I said, it is a pressure cooker / canner. Be sure you look for that. A traditional pressure cooker or like an Instant Pot is not set up to do pressure canning. So don't get an Instant Pot and think that you'll be able to pressure can with it. Look for a pressure canner cooker. And just as an aside, if you're worried about having 7,000 different contraptions in your kitchen, which I totally understand, this is also, like I said, it's also a pressure cooker. You can also use it like your slow cooker. And for a little preservation bonus, I've got 2 more preservation tools, and they are perhaps the cheapest and easiest you'll ever find and may already be in your kitchen cupboards. So these tools are vinegar and salt. That is all you need to pickle a large majority of the produce that is coming out of the garden. You can do a quick pickle with vinegar, and you can do a long pickle or like a fermented pickle with salt. I think most people are familiar with like a refrigerator pickle or a quick pickle, but I've got long pickled hot peppers, cucumber pickles. This is a kohlrabi pickle. Of course, I've got sauerkraut downstairs. But pickling is an excellent and ancient technique of preserving the harvest. Now, if you've not done pickles before and find yourself a little overwhelmed, I highly recommend this book. It is The Pickled Pantry by Andrea Chessman. And every recipe that I've tried from this so far has been excellent. And she explains how to do both quick vinegar pickles and long or fermented pickles. And be sure to let me know, do you have any additional tools that you use for preserving the harvest that you've found really useful? Drop a line in the comments below. And if you find content like this helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel, Growfully with Jenna. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.